Hello everybody, this is my Avalanche, my second gen LTZ 4x4. So I finally bought myself a jump seat. I've been looking for a while, I've been finding them, but a lot of them have been damaged. So I found this newer one, 14 and up, from Silverados, Tahoe, Suburbans, in black leather. I was able to score on it pretty quickly, and I was actually able to go and pick it up. I paid $375 for this, which is actually pretty good, especially being a black leather one with the seatbelt complete. The brackets mount different from the newer trucks to the older trucks, but I'm the welder here, so that's not a problem. So it might take a little bit of fab. I'm just not sure about these plugs. Hopefully they plug straight in. I don't know if they do yet, but here's what I have now. Typical second gen. So I've got the big old bulky center console that kind of gets in the way, especially if you're, you have like, say you have 5 people you want to haul, now you can haul 6, including yourself. So this big old thing's gonna come out, I'll sell it, and the center console with the third seat is gonna go right in there. So I'm gonna start right now and we'll see how it goes. Look at all this money! Alright, here's an update. I got my seats out. There we go. Here's my heavy. Once I took the seats out, I found out I had a whole lot of garbage in there. A whole lot of change. That's got to be a good, probably almost $2 there. Little vacuum, so I could vacuum stuff up. So okay, so once you remove these bolts, these are E-Torques, by the way. So the front are larger than the rear. I don't have the sockets for E-Torques, surprisingly, which is weird because I have a lot of tools, but I didn't have those. So the front came out with 9/16 6-point sockets deep, and the rear came out with 7/16 6-point socket deep, because they're kind of long. Actually, no, the rear can be shallow, but the front have to be long because they're kind of tall posts. So, okay, so once you remove the seats, the console is loose, ready to come out. You do have some connections back here for the electrics, and pretty sure I'm gonna have to disconnect some ducting there for the air conditioning vents that are back here. These just pop out, and then this can be removed. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and remove that, then update you later. Okay, I'm inside my truck here. So this imitation wooden piece right here, it comes out with just clips. So I have here a spoon, small spoon. So I pried here while still holding pressure up. You still want to hold pressure up while you're prying the other corner. So I pry here, then it just came up, and there's nothing connected to that. So that comes loose, that's free, and that gives you access down here to electrics that you have to disconnect for the console to come up freely. And I need a vacuum. Alright, a few moments later, and here we are. It's all clean. Console's gone, got a big open space with no carpet there, so I have to upholster that just a little bit. This plug to the electrics, the DVD controls, this Avalanche has a DVD player. So, there we go. So, what's that? Okay. So, these controls do not match the plug that's on the new jump seat. I didn't think they would, but that's okay. I don't really need them too much. I don't have much to plug in. The lower pocket doesn't have anything. The top does have a 12-volt plug here and a USB port, and it looks like it has an aux connection right there, but that's about it. So that's pretty easy to wire in. I don't have DVD controls here like I do on the Avalanche's original console, but that's alright. I'm okay with not having those anymore. It's alright. It's not like I really haul kids anyway. So, alright, so that's where we're at. Nice and clean. We'll go ahead and mount the new 2014 and up seat now. Oh, another thing is that duct right there, that goes out to a tube that goes to the vents on the back of the console. That's air conditioning and heat for the passengers. I'll no longer have that. So what I've made here is this cover, nifty little cover out of it's about a little over 1/8 inch plastic. So I cut it to size and I'll use the original bolt there, and on the perimeter of it I'll just use some silicone gasket maker right there. So that's how I'll be covering that. That'll be no longer used. Alright, I'm ready to mount. It's just kind of propped on there. It's just on there. I placed the driver's seat. I haven't bolted anything down. I placed it and I plugged the electrics back in so I could roll the seat back and make sure the center seat is straight with the driver's seat, which will also be straight with the passenger seat. So that looks actually pretty fair right there. I wasn't sure about more forward or more back. I was kind of using this as reference right here, the little computer right there. So right exactly flush with that plastic piece right there, I think that's where we're supposed to be. So I'm good with that. Maybe just a hair forward and then I'll drill my holes and that'll be it. What I mean by drill my holes, so well, I'll check it right now. Okay, here we go. The seat's off. So this is what I meant by having to drill the holes. So 14 and newer, the bolts that bolt the center seat or the console to the truck are into the tunnel, into the transmission tunnel. Whereas the 07 to 13 ones mount to the floor. So the center console actually bolted to the, it actually mounted with the same bolts that go to the seats. It shared the same bolts on the inside, but these newer ones mount to the tunnel. It's a little bit of a cleaner look, I suppose. Instead of having the big old legs sticking out, like here's the console. Sorry, I lost some sunlight. So here's the console. See, big old legs that stick out, and they share the same holes as the same bolt holes as the seats. So, like I said, a little more forward from there. I'll drill into the tunnel. And I guess I'll have to have one guy on the bottom holding the nut, and then I'll torque the bolt from up here. So that's ready to bolt down. It looks good. Oh, one thing before mounting this jump seat, I've come to notice something. This on the back end of the seat, it's got these two posts that I'm sure rest onto some receivers on the 14 and newer trucks. Once again, this is a 13 and older, so I don't have those holes to receive those posts in my transmission tunnel. So I'll be chopping those off and then mounting it up. And that's what that now looks like. I chopped them off and then I took a flat disc and cleaned them up. Let's mount it. Alright, so I discovered that there's something else that has to be done. It's kind of a big mod. It's actually the most dangerous thing you're going to be doing, because you could burn your seat, you could damage your seat, or you could burn yourself. So I had to get my oxy-fuel torch. Oxy-acetylene torch. These tabs that mount to the transmission tunnel, on the 17 and newer, they're a little more, I guess the tunnel must be a little more narrow. Ours is a little bit wider, so I had to open these up just a little bit. So I got some rags, I got them really quenched up with water. I placed them right behind where I was going to apply heat. I placed heat until I got cherry red very quickly, and then I struck it with a hammer to bend it back just a little bit, maybe about a 1/4 inch each. That's all you really need. And then once that's done, then you take the existing rags and quench it down as fast as you can. Make sure that heat doesn't transfer to the plastics or the leather, although it's far away from the leather. But these were pretty easy. They're pretty straightforward. These have these ridges that actually give them strength. So you're going to have to heat the front and the back and pound them both evenly and bend them back a 1/4 inch. So that's something you're just going to have to do, because otherwise these will not seat right here on these crossbars. These cross beams will not seat on your transmission tunnel if you don't move these back a little bit. Just a little bit. That's all you need. Alright, my jump seat is mounted. That was kind of a pain in the ass. So the back ones didn't work out like I wanted them, because there's no access to the bottom side. Because by pure coincidence, that back hole on both sides is, when you pierce it with your drill bit, on the bottom side, it's going to go through the sheet metal, of course, up here, but down there on the bottom, there's this channel that goes alongside the bottom of the truck. So you can't get to a nut to get to the bolt through there. So unless you want to have a really long bolt and drill through both pieces of sheet. But I didn't want to do that. So what I did was I just kind of got a fatter one on the back end and I tapped it. Almost kind of like a self-tapping Tex screw. But that's what I did in the back. And that's secure enough. It's fine. And the front, I was able to actually get a nut on the back side. So that's on there. That's strong as hell right there. Now, clean up a little bit, a little vacuum, put my seats back on. And here's the old console. Once again, there's the ducting. Everything's intact, everything's in good condition. That'll be for sale. All right, one last thing, the back piece. This comes off with clips and it's attached to just a single 12-volt outlet. It has to be kind of notched in the bottom right there for the transmission tunnel. As you can see, it won't mount up. It probably needs about 1 3/4 inches to come down. So I'm gonna have to actually go down into this bay right here a little bit, but I'll cut along the line and see if that's enough to get me to snap in and be complete. But otherwise I'm gonna have to section it just a little bit more. But that's the last piece. I'm gonna put my seats on and then I'll do that. All right, halfway there. Passenger seats on, seat belts on, it's wired in. Not too shabby. Driver's side now. All right, I'm all done with this jump seat conversion from a 14 and newer. I think it came off of a Silverado, that or an Escalade, I'm not sure. But it's a black leather unit, just like my black leather interior, so that's awesome. I was able to score this for $375, so I'm pretty stoked about that. And it's in very, very good condition, no rips, nothing like that, and it came with the seatbelt. So I've got the 3 cup holders. I've got a storage space right here, and a 12-volt outlet and a USB. Got little pockets here, which is cool, and I like that they have the pocket here for your cell phone. The jump seat for our years, this is just flat, so that kind of makes some use out of this top area. And I could flip this up, and then down here I've got the extra space, extra storage down there, so pretty awesome. And seatbelt in the middle to be legal, and yeah, awesome, real happy. Down here I do have to upholster a little bit. That's the big empty space where the console was, so take care of that later. But all in all, I'm happy. Now I have a 6th seat. All right, so we're all done, and I love it. It looks nice. I have a middle seat now. Here's a problem though, kind of a big problem. So you'll notice, or I noticed, that when I put in the key, I open the switch, there is no noise. And my stereo, although it still works, I no longer have any audio. 0. No fuzz from the speakers, nothing. My turn signals, they still work, but there is no audio, there's no clicking noise. So I know it's that cable that I left disconnected, the cable that connected to my climate control in the back of the console and the DVD and radio controls, that must be plugged in. So I'm gonna have to modify the seats and put in the old controls from the console, and yeah, I've got to plug that in, or else I'll have no audio and no dash noises. Although everything works, the truck drives, everything works, the signals work outside, it's all good. But I've got to have that plugged in, or else I have no audio and no noises. So here's my tool room. I've got my old console here. I've got it flipped upside down. I've got to remove this and use it. If not, then figure out some way to plug that thing in and have everything work in the cab. I don't really care for having these in the back of the new jump seat, but we'll see what happens. But for now, I've got to remove this. This is just held on with clips. See that? Just clips, pop it out, and then we'll investigate further. Alright, I've got it popped out. It's just 6 tabs here. Make sure you do it carefully not to break them off. Sorry, not 6, it's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna disconnect all of these. Some of these likely I won't use anymore if I'm not using the whole thing. I don't think I will because I don't think I have space for it. And this is what I mean. So this is once again the newer jump seat, newer model years. Here's the back piece. I haven't attached yet because it's too low over the tunnel, or the tunnel comes up too high on it. I'm gonna have to trim it. Let's see, that tab. This tab goes in here, so that's about a good solid 2 inches of a it's a little too high, 2 inches, so I'm gonna have to section 2 inches down. Of course, I'll cut it in cardboard first before I actually cut this piece so I can make it fit. So that unit from the back of the original console will not fit in this space. So that's what I was saying, that I'm not likely to use every part of it. Probably only the DVD controls, of course not the vents. I won't have the vents anyway since I plugged it up front. Okay, it does look like I can actually get away with only using this little, what could that be? 2 1/4 inch high by 6 inch wide little control box, which I need so I could have all my audio in the truck and the bells and whistles of the dashboard. The bottom half of it I don't need. The vents. And once again, excuse me, this thing is upside down because the console is upside down. I've disconnected this. This is a 12-volt outlet, which I don't need to keep because the seat has its own. If this is not the same plug for it, then I can modify it to fit to the new seats. This is to my RCA jacks right here, or RCA receivers, which I don't need. I mean, who uses those anyway? If I need to, I could remove it and then plug it in somewhere else, maybe to plug in a PlayStation or something like that on the back TV. But yeah, I'm not worried about those. Only the front, the top. So this I can remove. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. I'll remove those right now. Okay, it looks like we're golden. So I removed the 4 screws right here. I can just pop this off. And this whole part I don't need. I could reattach it to the console and then I'll sell it as is without this control module, because I do need this so I could have audio in my truck and my bells and whistles of the dashboard. So I'll chase these lines, pull them out, and I'll have something to plug into my that harness that comes out of the dashboard, and everything should be a-okay after that. So I'm gonna go ahead and chase these out, remove the whole thing, and plug it in. Hopefully everything works, and then I'll work into attaching this to that small plastic piece that goes behind the new jump seat. All right, so I've got all these little push clips all removed. The harness is ready to come out over there. It's nice and loose on this side on the front end. This back piece has to come off so you can get access to these wires over here and disconnect the inside 12-volt outlet that's inside the glove box of the center console. So this panel comes off. These are just clips, so stick your spoon in there and pry here, pry there. Also on the other side, pry here, pry there. And then here on the back cup holders, it's already all loose, but I'm just showing you, you'll have, turn on the light here. Okay. You'll have 3 screws. Let's see, let me point over here. So you see the bracket for the cup holders, 1, 2, 3, that goes right there, 1, 2, 3, and then the cup holder gets removed and the panel is free to come out. So that's how you take that out. Now you have access to the wires, and I'll go ahead and disconnect my 12-volt lighter right there, and yeah, that should be it. There's the inside 12-volt. Inside here you'll also have these push clips you'll have to disconnect. They're just a little bit challenging to get to, but if you have a good pry tool, stick that in there, pop it out, it shouldn't be a problem. And yeah, I have pretty much everything loose. Okay, so that's all loose. You pull it from the front to the back, because in the front you have this big bulky connection, so you've got to pull it to the front. Turn the light on. Okay, there we go. So you've got these connections here. That little control module has to come out because that's important to the truck. So that's the next challenge. Looks like these are some push clips, and then there's some screws that screw down. Well, in my case, they screw up since the console is upside down. So that's got to come out, and that's going to get attached to the new center console, the center jump seat. Alright, so it's not so bad. The easiest thing to do is just remove every screw that you see, because it's all held on by screws from this point on. So you've got two here, right by the mounting brackets, two on the other side by the mounting brackets, one screw holding the ducting for the back vents, and I don't think there was anything here, but yeah, just remove every screw that you see, then it just pops up, and we'll take care of it from here. Okay, that's that. This thing is gutted. So I just kind of picked it up, flipped it upside down. Now it's right side up. And now I'll go ahead and remove these screws to remove this. I'm not sure if that's an ECM, but yeah, I'm not sure what that is, but I know it's part of the truck that I need to keep on the truck. Alright, a few screws later. This thing has a lot of screws, by the way. So I've got those right there. How many is that? 6 or 8? And then I've got all these screws here. See all these screws? This was all part of the console. So anyway, all those screws are removed, and now this protective cage can come up and out of the way, right there. And this is why I had no audio. So this looks like the amplifier. So go ahead and remove those 3 bolts or screws. Take that out, put the cage back on, and that's it. That's everything I need. This is the whole wire harness, and that'll be reused in my new jump seat. Under it, tuck it in nice, and I'll reuse this face so I could have controls to the back DVD. And that'll be a little bit of plastic work right there. But yeah, that's it. So I'll just go ahead and remove this, button everything back up, and it'll be sold without any wire harness, because I need it. I was hoping to sell it complete, ready to go, but apparently my stereo doesn't work without that amp, and my bells and whistles don't work without probably that amp also. And just to be courteous and a little bit nice, I guess, I'm cleaning everything up during the reassembly, making sure everything's nice and clean from the inside to the outside. So whoever takes this off my hands will have a nice clean unit to install without all the electrics, of course. But if you're like a Silverado guy or something that you don't have like a DVD player or something, then you don't need all the stuff I'm taking out anyway. So you just kind of more than likely want it for aesthetics. You'll probably want to plug in your cigarette lighter, but that's not too hard to do. You don't need the whole harness for that if you know what you're doing. Alright, I'm all done. It's all buttoned back up. So this unit is what will be for sale. Center console for a 2nd generation Avalanche LTZ. Leather top, black plastic. Here's the light. The back end, as I said, will be missing my controls for the DVD player. You still have the vents here and the RCA jack and the 12-volt outlet. You get no wiring harness with it. 0. I need it for my truck to work properly. So that's that. That'll be what's for sale. You get the unit with no electrics, and it's in very, very good condition. I cleaned it all up as I was reassembling it, which I didn't have to do, but it's very, very clean. Yeah, it's a good little unit. So that's that. There's the cup holders. Good little truck. Good little truck console. But you get everything in here hollow. You get the vent, and right there where the amplifier was, I need to reuse for my truck. Alright, this is what I'm doing for the back cover here. I made my template out of cardboard. That's exactly the shape that I want. So I traced it onto the base of the existing one and the back, and that's where I'll be cutting. And I'm using my trusty little Dremel with a cutoff wheel, metal cutoff wheel, not an abrasive wheel. So chop that up, sectioned it, and then I'll fit it up, and then I'll go forward with a attaching this thing, my controls for the DVD for the back capacitors, and then the amp I'll stuff in there somewhere. But yeah, it's going. Okay, here's the piece all cut up. That's what's going to attach to the back end of the jump seat. As you saw, I had to section this much off. Then I cut a little bit extra here for the taper of the tunnel on the back of the seat. It won't sit flat, so I had to taper it a little bit, which is okay. So now what I'm doing, I've got to cut out a little section here for the control box here. It's going to go right there. And that little pocket I'm cutting out, that's for the plugs. So I could plug it in from behind. A little trick here, so I don't have sharp corners that could actually risk a crack. Not likely, but I'd rather be sure than risk having a crack later on by cutting corners into that square box I'm cutting. I drilled some holes, so I'll cut to the hole. It gets rounded at the corner, and then cut straight here, and then cut straight here. That way I have a nice radius corner on the cut. So just a little pocket, that's a little tab I'm going to cut out. That'll give me access to plug in my my plugs into the control module there. Going all right. Hey, so here I am on my upper half of the back cover piece that I had a section to make room for the transmission tunnel. And I made that pocket there so I could plug in the plugs on the back end like that. So that goes like that. That's going to seat right there. You can see I already drilled my holes. I've got holes drilled, and this is going to mount right to it. I went to the hardware store. I bought some bolts here, 10 by 24 inch. 10 by 24 threads per inch of metric bolts here, and 1.5 tall, I think they are, and then lock nuts for the back end. And I got some spacers. By the purest coincidence, I bought 1-inch spacers hoping that it was going to work out, or maybe if it was a little longer, I'd have to trim it, but it's exactly 1 inch, so that's going to work out perfectly. So I didn't want to have so much stress right there pulling in on both sides, although it does look very strong, nice and reinforced. But I bought some spacers to stick under there and then stick the bolts through, so it'll be nice and strong, and that's how I'll be mounting that. Alright, that's done, and I think it looks pretty good. See the back here, that's the notch for the electrics to plug in. It's not pretty in the back, but whatever. Nobody sees the back. Nobody's going to see that unless they take the console apart. I mean the jump seat apart. So, there's my bolts right there. Spacers, 1-inch spacers, perfectly the size that I needed. And there's the back lock nuts. So 1.5 was just perfect for the length of the bolt. Alright, so that's ready to mount. Next step is to get in the avalanche, take off the seats, and get to the console, get to the jump seat, I mean. And yeah, do all the wiring. Okay, it's another day. Trying to rush before I lose daylight. I got out of work later than I thought I was going to get out. So I had to take out the interior. There's my seats right there in the back of the truck. Sorry about the sun glare. I've got to do some trimming. So that back piece that I trimmed, it fits beautifully up and down, but these are kind of, the seat is sideways if you can't tell. These are kind of pushed out like this on the left and the right. So I've got to do just a little bit of trimming. Here's the piece I cut off right here. See that? If you can see that? This is actually the back part. The back part a little more, and then the front, it tapers down to the front. So I just need a little bit of trim right there. Maybe 5/8, and then taper down to the corner. And I'll do the same thing on that side, and that should alleviate the stress that I've got pushing out, and I could bring it in a little bit. Also, this tab here, I cut a little, about 22 degrees there, to make room for the transmission tunnel once again, because the transmission tunnel was pushing this out, and it won't let that back cover sit properly. So that's what I'm doing right now. Alright, I have it sectioned already. The wiring harness that comes out of the jump seat, I don't need this. This plug is no use to me. It doesn't match my harness. So from here on, I snipped it. This 12-volt outlet plug I don't need. My harness has its own, and the head to it matches this one, so it's perfect. So I will need these and this USB. It'll be for these right here inside. 1, 2. Let me turn on the light. Let's see, you can see that. So you got 1, 2, and then you got the center jack, and then this is just a regular 12 volt. So this is all I'm saving from the harness. This is a lot more than I need, but it's better to, you know, have a lot more and then trim down than cut it too short. Okay, it's inside. Nothing is bolted. I just kind of put it in there. Now these back, I guess I'll call them wings in the back. They're not spread out, and the back piece was able to press on and close. So that's what it'll be looking like. So before it was so wide, I couldn't even force it to close into the back piece. But now I can, so I'm happy. One step further. All right, cutting holes so I could mount the computer. Sorry, the amplifier. This amp is gonna seat right here. It's not gonna take up too much space of this bottom storage box, but that's where it's gotta go. I was trying to possibly put it under the dashboard, but nothing's gonna work. Also, being under the dashboard, some of these lines will not fit, like the back DVD controls, you know. So the best thing is to put it right here. That's gonna get mounted there. So I had to cut a hole. Sorry, it's really rough right now, cleaned it up right now, but I took my little roto zip. There's my trusty little roto zip. There's my Dremel. Took my roto zip and notched a hole here. That's gonna be for this big giant plug that's gotta fit through there to plug into the harness of the truck that comes out of the dashboard. So that's that. And last little thing I'm gonna drill out is one hole to go back here, because from this harness, I have a plug that goes to the cigarette outlet in the back, and these 2 plugs that go to the DVD controls. So I've got to make a hole big enough to fit both of these, and then from that, surely the 12 volt outlet plug will fit also. So, more modification. This is actually further than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be easier, but it's got to be right, and it's going to be really nice when it's done. All right, back hole is done, front hole is done. So this is what I did, very simple. I took a hole saw, 1.5 inch, and took my drill, and I found the center. Reason I went to the center is because the control module for the DVD is on center. So on the back side, that's on center. So that'll make it a lot easier. And 1.5 is plenty big for both of the larger outlets or plugs to pass through, and then I'll be able to plug them in and have a working control module for those back DVD controls. Hey everybody, it's a new day. I think I'm gonna end the video here because it's actually gonna be a minute before I actually get to completely finish it. Like I said, I need to make some kind of cover to hide these wires, and then cover that up with new carpet, so it can look clean. I thought about running these somehow under the tunnel, but that kind of would pose 2 issues. One with the elements that would hit it under the car because of rain, and you know, if I go off-road into the mud and all that, because I use my 4x4 like a 4x4. So I've got that to think about. So more than likely I'm gonna fab some kind of cover out of plastic and then upholster this in carpet to match that, to make it look cleaner than it currently is, because right now I just have those wires exposed. And the subwoofer I just have here, kind of have it placed there, kind of tucked in as far in as I can. Later I'll make a small box for that, and I'll fabricate it so it can be right there, probably facing in. I'm not sure yet, depends on how it sounds. That's that cover that I made for the vent that originally went out to the back of the console. But yeah, we're done. I'm calling it done for now. So there's the 2014 to 18 leather jump seat into a 13 and older truck. This one's specifically, mine is a 2008 Chevy Avalanche 4x4 LTZ. So it took a lot of work to get it in there, but I love it. It looks good. I think so, at least. That's my own opinion, I know, but I think it looks great. So that's it all together there. Then I have this extra pocket here, which I have my amplifier in. I just put some Tech screws down, holding that down. TEKS Tech screws, self-tapping sheet metal screws, and I've got to anchor this further down. It doesn't fully seat, so I'm gonna make 2 extra holes there, push that down, and that'll be that. And there's my hole where I ran the harness through, and that's it. So, but when someone's sitting there, which I've already had passengers, I've had 2 passengers there in the middle, and it's great. It's not too crowded, like you don't really bump your knees there. It's not so bad. So that's that. There's my jump seat, all done. Oh, the back. Okay, here we go. Excuse the mess back here. So the back. So right here, there's nothing here. This is my little control. Oh, actually, let me turn on the key. All right. Switch is open. So there's my little control module for the. Turn it on here. See, so you can see that works. It goes. You can change programs and stations, whatever. I don't really mess with this too much. I don't sit in the back of my own truck very often, if at all. So that's that. The 12-volt works. You can see that light up. 12-volt works. So yeah, that's done. At least it's on there, even though I don't think anyone's ever really going to use it, but it's there and it's connected. And like I said, you had to notch here, which I did there. I cut all the way across here. It was about a 2¼ inch cut, and then right here I had to taper down to take the shape of the tunnel. And also I cut off here a little sliver here, little sliver on the side. That way the sides can come in and close in with the back cover. So that's what that looks like, and that's done. So if you want to do a jump seat from a newer truck onto your 99 to 13, that's what you have to do. It was a lot of work, but I think it was worth it.